today? It's Robert T. Green, CEO, pre-post game. Today is, what is today? Man, I get confused sometimes when doing this live podcast. Today is March the 19th, Monday. After a feverish March Madness, we're going to cover a couple of things and how this NCAA tournament thus far is the worst NCAA tournament ever pertaining to business and how the NCAA sees it. I'll break those things down. Also, I want to talk a little about how parents in the NCAA continue to find it difficult to get the things they need to get done for their kids, and for the up-and-coming parents and recruits and athletes pertaining to how they are already doing things such as camps and being evaluated or getting ranked in certain areas such as 247 Sports Scout, and this list goes on and on and on and on. The fact of the matter is that's great. You want to get your training in, you want to get your athletic ability in, but the fact of the matter is, I told a parent this the other day, sports is not a game, as you guys know. Sports is all business, and particularly your kid and you as a parent become a pro the moment that someone is actually paying to watch your son or daughter play sports. In 2018, I can't stress this enough because exactly the fact of the matter is that the people that literally are paying to watch your kids play, in essence, that is helping to feed their families. And for those who don't know, if you get to the pros or not, that's one story. But youth sports in America is a $15 billion a year industry, youth sports industry, meaning you go no further than youth sports is $15 billion that goes into this sport. The fact of the matter is that the kids and the families that are basically providing the actual product, if you will, are not being compensated for it, and also taking a lot of risk going forward. I don't want to get too far off the topic today. So again, as I continue to go in, again, not quite sure if the live feed is skipping as I do the podcast now. Please let me know if you have any comments or questions that I could possibly answer during this time. Let me know, and I'll try to do that as well. So again, March Madness, terms such as Cinderella, where are we at right now in NCAA? We had people such as North Carolina lose. We've had other upsets, major upsets all over the country. I don't tend to give certain universities or their programs recognition simply because at the end of the day, they do enough of that as it is. But with so many upsets and all of a sudden, Cinderella's become a gang. And what I mean by a gang is that the NCAA, when it comes to this actual tournament, is set up to try to focus on or exploit, you will, that one Cinderella to talk about that story. But you really don't realize is that when that actual Cinderella gets so far, for example, the young team that beat Virginia in the first round. Fact of the matter is, the further along that team goes, that almost guarantees the fact that that coach is going to leave those same kids for more money to another school. And at the end of the day, no one wants to discuss those things. Those young men is putting their lives and their bodies on the court for that actual coach. In essence, is now getting him another paycheck. And the reality is people have gotten so used to doing that and making light of these things. But at the same time, the return of the kids' investment is to get a hat and a T-shirt. Because again, how many of those Cinderellas have actually won the national championship? It's not many. So again, the run is great, but the reward ends up going back to that actual coach that now gets compensated for those kids' efforts. And again, I continue to say that's wrong. So again, obviously, talking about pay to play is what we're talking about here. Now, how else is the worst tournament ever from the NCAA standpoint? The Blue Bloods, the North Carolinas, if you will, and the other big schools that, continue to get knocked out from the number one seeds. I think Xavier went out last night. The fact of the matter is there's so many fans that basically from a hotel standpoint, a ticket sales standpoint, and those that particularly believe that they're going to go as far as the Final Four, Sweet 16, Elite 8, that people have basically compensated these hotels, these travel arrangements, these rental cars. At the end of the day, when those big Blue Bloods teams lose, now all that money goes out the window. People are not going to, they don't have enough people. For example, North Carolina lost the other day. So their fan base and following that the NCAA was guaranteed or basically counting on to continue to pay for those tickets, from a TV standpoint, from a rating standpoint, they no longer can do that. That's not what they wanted to do. They wanted one Cinderella. Now you got like 5. And the fact of the matter is, with all these Cinderellas, how many of them talking about the actual kids? They're rare. They want to go talk about, they want to make this thing look so sweet and so beautiful. Sports is not a game. It's all business. The education piece. A lot of these kids are going to miss a month of school for the ones that get towards the end. We had the team Oklahoma that got in, which many said they shouldn't have got in. Now, again, the end result, did Oklahoma win the first round game? No, they lost. So now we're talking about a kid that was basically being looked at from the NCAA and the FBI investigation. He's more than likely to go pro. So who did that really benefit, this extra game? Was it the kid? Of course not. Of course not. So again, with all these major universities and teams that continue to basically preach this is about education, preach that they care so much about these kids. Obviously, you see right now what's going on, that with all these so-called powerhouse programs and powerhouse coaching, at any given Sunday, as we say in football, any of these schools can lose. Any of these teams can lose. So once again, why are you paying these coaches $9, $10, $11, $12 million a year to get knocked out for the school who don't have half the facilities that you so-called put money into? Those kids would be better off if you compensated them, or those families would be better off if you compensated them as well. So again, when it projected originally about being $800 million in the tournament, it's still going to be up there. But again, Cinderella's a gang, and that's not what the NCAA and March Madness was ever meant to be. It was meant to be to get those at least 2 to 3 of those top 4 seeds, those chalk teams, to the final. So all of the major followers and corporations and branding, for example, you talk about North Carolina and Michael Jordan. The further along Michael Jordan goes, North Carolina goes, the better off the Jordan brand is going to be. Same thing when it comes to other schools, Nike schools, Adidas schools. It just goes on and on and on and on and on. Vegas, right now, talking about the brackets and the being busted. Vegas is now screwed because the reality is they don't even know what to do or how to do it. Because so many 1 seeds have now been knocked off by teams such as the 16 seed and 9 seeds and the 12 seeds and the 13 seeds. Then you got all these commentators now out there that's basically even know the names of the guys that they actually calling. I mean, if they were prepared, they should. Sports is not a game. Sports is all business. This is truly March Madness. And me personally, as a player's rep, I'm enjoying this simply because, once again, these kids, they put their life on the line. They practice. They believe in themselves. They go out there and do the best thing they possibly can. For the teams that knocked off the number 1 seeds, you think they shouldn't be compensated? Why not? They don't have the same facilities that those other universities have. Did they not just come out there and win a game? Are they not going to lose their coach if that team goes too much further? Win 1 more, 2 more games, he's gone. Facts. Pick the school. You're gone. It's about time that all these schools, like I said, I posted something the other day about from the Sports Business Insider, in particular, the University of Louisville, Kentucky. They didn't make the tournament this year. They hosted a couple games in NIT. But out of their 13 scholarships, each player brings in $1.3 million to the university. On average, Division I programs, every player that's on a roster on a scholarship generates $170,000 per school. And the bigger schools, obviously, you start talking about $800,000, $900,000. The reason why things haven't changed as of yet, and they go into it at some point, because the players and the families who basically generate this actual business model have not figured out that it's a business. Sports is not a game. Sports is all business. It always has been, always will be. When you take your kid to the first, youth baseball, basketball, football game, before that kid steps on the field, you sign a permission slip, taking all responsibilities if your son or daughter was to get injured. But yet, if you look to your left, you look to your right, you see a pamphlet being sold, you see popcorn being sold, you see a ticket being sold, you see referees out there, you see commentators, scoreboard people. Every one of those people are getting paid off of what your son and daughter is about to do at that facility. Yet you take on all the responsibility and risk for injury just because that's what has always been done. It is 2018. But yet the players and the family still being treated like it's 1965. That's why the players rep is here. I experienced these things. I lived these things, but we also created a business model and structure pre-post game to protect you in these things. For those that have kids or kids that are in college now, going to college, a lot of things are going on right now that it breaks my heart, from the highest level, from the highest universities, that they continue to mislead and misrepresent themselves and families. To the point where these families are looking for resources, and again, they can find it here pre-post game, and the players rep directly in me. They can find it in attorneys. They might need to go as far as, like I said, you can talk about the NCAA all you want, but their job is actually to protect those universities. to the best of their ability. But I tell parents all the time, it's okay not to know what you don't know. If your son or daughter is a highly rated or highly athletic kid at any point, 10, 9, 11, AAU, showcase, they're going to tell you what you want to hear, not what you need to know. Instead of me taking the time with my company to talk about all the bad things that go on in sports, I want to educate you on the business of sport to make an informed decision. The universities, the schools, the coaches, their job is to make you feel like kings and queens until they get your signature. But it's gotten so bad now that once you get to school, you give your signature. There's other things that you didn't know about business-wise. There's other things you didn't know about from a housing standpoint, cost of attendance stipend, scholarship paperwork, 1 year versus 4 years. It's so much to go in, financial paperwork. The list goes on and on and on and on. But in the meantime, they want to keep running these kids back and forth all over the country for free as their parents pay for it in these camps. And I'm talking about people that's bringing in billions, and I mentioned them, Under Armour, what's the other people? Nike Opening, all of them. Anybody talking to you about what you're busting your butt physically to do right now, what comes along with this? The percentages? See, 1% go pro, but you need 99% to 100% of participation to make the operation work. But does it work for you? Does it work for them? Sports is not a game. Sports is all business. If you're going through some things you do not understand in sports, please look us up, prepostgame.com. We created the first sports business-based curriculum to educate you on everything pertaining to sports at every level. We talk about first through fourth quarter. I mentioned a few things earlier. Cost of attendance stipend, transfer rules, loss of value insurance, disability insurance, which school pays, which don't pay, which tells you the truth, which lies. We know. Before you make a decision where you're going to go, you basically spend your money, time, and energy to pursue a goal, and whatever that goal may be, whether it's just get a college scholarship, whether it's become a professional athlete. Once again, you are a pro the moment somebody is paying to watch you play, because at the end of the day, the people that's talking to you, it's their job to help you make a decision to go somewhere else or to go somewhere that's going to get them paid. Anyone tells you different is what we call the runner, and when we talk about education and power and protection, we provide here at Pre-Post. Sports is not a game. Sports is all business. I said it again. I'm going to keep saying it. That means athletes, you guys have to understand everything that you do is being watched and used against you to devalue you from the same people that's smiling at you, telling you to come to this school or to go to this team in the pros or to renegotiate this contract. Have you guys not noticed how the NFL draft now and NFL free agent frenzy, how all these people this 5 years ago or 3 years ago signed these huge deals for 6 years? The average career in the NFL is 2.9 years. The average first round player in the NFL is 11 years if he makes the Pro Bowl. If he don't make the Pro Bowl, his average career is 9 years. It's math. Information is out there. The CBA, the collective bargaining agreement. Why is it how guys sign contracts, but literally when you hear the terms such as guarantees and fully guaranteed, you don't understand the difference, but yet now the same people that you was talking about, wow, look what his agent did for him. He didn't do nothing. But now he's getting cut and fired, taking pay cuts, getting uprooting his family, moving somewhere else. Why do you hear any of these agents coming to the defense of these players? Like Richard Sherman that talked about, hey, he didn't want to leave Seattle. They made him leave Seattle. He signed his contract. He made a commitment. The same commitment that he was supported in with this agent back when, but right now he doesn't have an agent anymore. Obvious reasons. Sports is not a game. It's all business. But those parents that got kids that's in school right now where the university don't provide money management and personal finance classes, but yet you know your son's been rated number 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5 recruits since he was like 9 years old. Basketball, football, baseball, doesn't matter. The kid throws a 95-mile fastball at 15 years old. You know what's going to happen. Why are you sitting back waiting for 4 months for somebody to tell you how it's going to work? This is a business. If you run a business and you're the reason or you're the product that generates the revenue, why is it that someone is going to put a contract in front of your face to tell you how they're going to make money off of you? That makes no sense. But yet, kids went to school. That's not education. That's institutionalism. You're doing it because somebody else did it. And again, many years ago, people used to do the same thing all the time too, till somebody realized, you know what, that's not right. Don't let it be you. Don't let the school separate you from your kids. Don't let your 17-year-old son make you think now all of a sudden after you spent $30,000 over the last 4 years, taking them all across the country, and you meet this one trainer or this one so-called recruit mentor who has a couple friends in the National Football League or the NBA. Now all of a sudden, take away all your thought process and decision making for your son just because he wanted to take a picture with the kid. I'm costing some people some money today. That's what I do. I'm the player's rep. I'm here to protect the player, educate and empower, and protect theirs and the family's best interest and theirs alone. It is not the trainer or it is not the university that basically got a kid that's 6'7" or 6'5", 300-something pounds. It's the parent that held them in the stomach and birthed them. Only to get to the point where you go to school and that kid can't come back home. And if you get something like $40 that they did with the kid out of Michigan State, you want to shame him for $40 when your coach makes $4 million. No one is coming to watch Michigan State play to watch the coach. But now y'all home now. I guess you know where that kid's going now. He won't be back. It's extremely disrespectful. Without kids like him, you won't exist. NCAA. The power is given by those, again, I said this the other day, life is about two things, fear and will. And why this current model is the way it is because most people fear what they do not understand. I'm here to help educate you so you don't fear what is being done to you, which is not right. You got one shot to live this life. You got one shot to do what you got to do on that field, that court, that rink, that whatever. Take advantage of it. At the end of the day, the way this whole sports business is set up, here today, gone tomorrow. You hear the term all the time, next man up, next woman up. Take advantage of your opportunity now while you can. I thank you for your time. My name is Robert T. Green. I'm the CEO of Pre-Post Game. You can follow us at the Players Rep 1 on Instagram, Facebook, as well as Twitter. Like I said, for more information, check us out at prepostgame.com. We provide consulting, sports management, advisory, and also transition succession planning for athletes and their families. God bless you guys.